everybody. Can y'all hear me? Go ahead and tap the live once you come in. Go ahead and do your daily checklist for OVC, which is sending out your daily heart me. Tap the live, share it out to at least 10 people you do or you do not know. Also, engage in the comments. That way we can go ahead and get out on the FYP. Sorry for the delay. We've had some technical difficulties for the first 15 minutes, so forgive us on that. But in the meantime, go ahead and come in. Let us know how your day is before we go ahead and start the town hall. All right, put a thumbs up in the chat if anybody can hear me, just to let me know that my audio is good on my side. How is everyone doing today? And be sure to go ahead and let everyone know that we are live. And once again, sorry for the delay. All right, thank you for that, Ayana. Okay, let's go ahead and tap and do my due diligence. Okay. How's everybody on this Tuesday? Okay. And just give us a few minutes while we wait for the candidate to come up before we start the town hall. Okay. So while we getting people in here right now, let us know if we have some people from Illinois. And if you don't, let's try to share it out with some people who are from the state of Illinois. That is the candidate that we will be having today. That candidate is running for U.S. Senate for Illinois. As you see here on the screen, the candidate name is Kevin Ryan. So be sure to sit back and learn more about him as we start to ask him questions. So thank you all for coming in. Okay. Oh, that's right. Go ahead and repost as well. We do have the option to repost and add it to your story. So be sure to do that. And let me go ahead and repost as well. All right, we only have about less than 400 likes. Let's see if we can get at least 5,000 before we start. So let's see if we can get at least 5K so we can get pushed out to the FYP. But once again, thank you all for coming in. We hope that you all had a great day today. And let's listen to a candidate that we like to get to know today. So has everyone just got off work today? Is there anybody that's taking a late shift from work or sitting with the family, eating a nice meal? Let me know how you all are feeling right now. Hey, Blessings.
Hello.
How are you? Can you hear us?
Yes. Sorry, I was getting my
Okay.
together.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just making sure that your audio was good and you can hear me as well. All right. So once you come in here, oh, it wouldn't let you come up. I think there has been some delay with everything on this app today.
Yeah.
But for those who are just coming in, thank you all for coming in. Go ahead and do your daily checklist, which is sending out your daily heart me's, liking the live, sharing the live to those who would like to engage into the conversation and just listen. Also, if you would like to contribute to the live, you are more than welcome to do so. And once again, thank you all for being here as we wait for the candidate to come up before we can start the conversation. All right. Let's see. I want everybody to let me know in the chat how are you all feeling right now with the recent federal court decision that in Texas just recently blocked the Texas legislators for redrawing the map for 2026. If you haven't heard, that is one of the things that happened today. A federal court judge did place a block on Texas, preventing them from redrawing the map. Okay, so Joni says she's excited, which she's a Texan as well. So that's good that you all are feeling excited about that. All right, we also have a goal that anyone would like to contribute to. We have 100 roses, so feel free to contribute to that if you feel to do so.
I do not understand what is going on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
I was trying to put up my background and it just was frozen.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah,
what's
it's been delaying. Hey, JoJo, how are you? Long time no see. All right. So, as we was just mentioning before, there was a recent federal court decision for the state of Texas legislators preventing them from redrawing the map. I know that was something that has made major headlines recently of Texas redrawing the district maps. But as of recently,
Yes.
one of the federal court judges just blocked them from redrawing it for 2026.
I saw that. I
Thank you,
saw that
JoJo.
today.
Yes. Jojo, feel free to do your daily checklist, which is sending out your daily heart me's, sending out the likes to anybody who would like to come in and engage in a conversation. We're just waiting on the candidate to come up before we start. And also share it out to anybody who would like to listen in on the candidate that we will be getting to know. And what is the other thing? Oh, repost and share it to your story as well.
Was there any other major news today?
Also, the other thing that I saw that the the House did force a vote to release the e-files, so that was interesting. Now, granted, of course, it's going to the Senate for them to vote, but
Right.
the majority leader Thune said that it's not promising. So we'll see what plays out on that. But that was a four, was it what was the vote 427 to 1, which
Yes, only one person voted nay. Yep.
from the representative from Texas and Clay Higgin. So Clay Higgin was the defacting vote to say no to releasing the e-files.
Yeah. I believe
What
he
was the other
put
thing?
no. I remember hearing that he put no because he has been voting no ever since because of the way the bill is written, I guess, and that he feels it
Yeah,
would release some information that shouldn't be released to the public. So that
which is
was his.
interesting for him to be
Yeah.
the only on the lone vote in that. But for Senator Thune in the Senate to say that it's
Louisiana.
not, yeah, from Louisiana, Clay Higgin, for him to decide in the Senate, the majority leader to say that he might not take it up for a vote is interesting. I don't get it. To me, if
Yeah.
that is that is a major thing if majority of the House says go ahead and move this along. Now, if the Senate does decide to vote, my idea would be for it to be a veto proof vote in the Senate. So hopefully that is the case. We'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
Thune is talking about he might not take it up for a vote.
Yeah, and I know I did see Mike Johnson's a little bit of his press conference about the
Mm-hmm.
bill and releasing the files and him saying that he would hope that when it gets to the Senate that they would edit the bill to I guess how agree with how the Republicans think the bill should be written instead of just 100% just voting yes and then getting it to the president. So I guess I'm not surprised that Thune, like you said that he might not bring it to the floor. So I think House Republicans are kind of in agreement with that, it seems like, or at least from Mike Johnson.
Now, as we know, as to what Joni just said in the chat, that Chuck Schumer just said that he's gotten all the senators on his side to agree. What will be interesting for me is if there's a divide amongst the Republicans in the Senate once they have a meeting. I want to know who's
Yeah.
going to delineate from them, because I think at this point it's not a winning issue for them to be pushing back on this. If the polling has shown that the American people wants to see this,
Correct.
so I honestly feel like if John Thune, I think that's his name, the first name John, but Senator Thune decides to not take this up for a vote, this is going to look bad on him as a majority leader. Not only that, the ones that are up for their seats in 2026, you're going to put them in danger as well. So we'll see how this plays out.
Correct. Correct. 'Cause this is a big, as we know, midterms are coming up, and that's going to be a big
Absolutely.
thing. I think in a lot of voters' decision when it comes to midterms. So
And then circling back on the redistricting topic, I saw that Florida is talking about redistricting as well for 2026, which I don't get that. I mean, Florida has shown that they're turning red and red every election cycle, so I don't understand that. Unless he just wanted to, well, the governor and the state legislators in Florida just want to gain a lot more seats than they already have already. So we'll
yeah,
see.
and I know Maryland also talked about Westmore also put out that he was doing a commission to redistrict Maryland as well. So
Yes,
I
yeah,
think
he announced that. Was it on last, what, 2 Tuesdays ago,
yeah,
the
like
night
2 weeks
of the
ago.
election? Yeah, saying he's going to set up a commission for that. So that will be interesting. And then of course we have the state of Missouri. They also mentioned that they're going to do redistricting of their map in Missouri as well. So
Yes. I
this is
think
very interesting.
yeah, I think Texas doing their redistricting and how it went down kind of triggered other states to follow suit, red and blue on both sides. So
Yeah, and from what I see, since that it was a deciding vote with Prop 50 in California, I forgot how much that state can possibly gain potential Democratic seats. Was it more than five? I think the goal was having at least more than five, but I think if they redraw it in a way, it may be a lot more than five.
yeah, for California.
Okay, so from what it looks like, I think we did see Kevin Ryan in here, but I think he has a private account, so it may not be easy for us to request him up. So I
Yes.
definitely don't see him in the viewer list. So Kevin, if you're in here, please go ahead and request up on your own, because due to you having a private account, we can't see you in the request box. So
Yeah, we just go ahead and click those two pink and blue people at the bottom, beside like where you comment at. That should send a
yes,
request. Well, while we continue to wait, let's see what the chat has to think about gerrymandering. I know we've said a lot about the different states, what happened in Texas today. We know California voted yes on Prop 50. We know that, like you said, Florida, Missouri, Maryland, there's a lot of states
yes.
considering redistricting and gerrymandering. So I want to know, people in the chat, how do you feel about the states redistricting or gerrymandering their states? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? What are your thoughts? Let's see what people think while we wait.
Now that's interesting. So it looks like Kevin is in here, but there's some type of glitch that's going on where we don't see him on the live, but he's in here. So he may
Maybe
have to leave out and come back.
yes, because I did request up earlier and it
Yeah,
didn't.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
You were in here and
so
you couldn't come up. Yeah.
so you might have Kevin, if you are in here, you might have to close out the app completely and then come back in. I know TikTok has been having a day today, so or last couple of days actually, but
So Christopher says districting should be done in order to make representation equitable and fair, not partisan. I wholeheartedly agree. It should be that way. I'll give credit to Melanie. She's mentioned this when we had highlighted on her lives months ago. We'll talk about each state per day. And when it came to certain maps that we saw, depending on the state, they were drew very funny. They were
Yes.
drawn in different funny shapes that didn't make any sense. So in a perfect world, we would think that maps should be drawn in a more easier way to see. That's equally shaped, I should say. But due to
Um,
oh,
Oops,
go ahead. I'm
sorry.
sorry,
Didn't
blessings.
mean to cut you off. Just really quick. Kevin, if you're still in here, if you're trying to join from a laptop, you can't. So
Yes.
please make sure you're trying to join from your phone. I know we've had that with other people too as well, trying to join from a laptop. So if you're still in here and you're trying to join from a laptop, it will not work. So go ahead and try to join through your phone. Okay, go ahead, Jazz.
No, I was just saying before that in a perfect world, we would think that maps should be drawn in fair shapes. It should be drawn, but due
Yeah.
to reasons of them drawing it for just the benefit of them being a majority, that here we are now. And that's not to
Hmm.
say that one party only does it; other parties do it as well. But
Absolutely.
I think that if we did it in a more fair way, then it'll. I think a lot of candidates or incumbents will actually campaign actively because sometimes in a lot of these
Mhm.
ruby red or ruby or just deep blue districts, some incumbents feel like they don't have to be active in their districts because of the trends of what they see that people automatically going to vote for them. But I
Absolutely.
think in the past 7 8 years, it has shaken up politics a lot, where a lot of people have been primaried out for just being so idle in their district. They
Hmm.
don't participate in holding town halls, showing up where people can see you, because that matters. People seeing you out, making a difference in their district, allocating funding in your district.
Hmm.
I have to give credit to people like Jasmine Crockett, what she's mentioned a few years ago. When you
Hmm.
actually show people what you do, they won't know what you've done for their community. I
Right.
get it. A lot of times it's just easier and it's just more classier to be humble. But in this day and age in politics,
Hmm.
I guess you can say respectability politics is just not beneficial these days. So you have to show people what you've done. In a sense, you have to brag. So if it
Yes.
takes for you to put out these big gigantic checks to say, "Hey, we brought $2 million to this district," that in turn will bring more eyes to see, "Hey, I'm actually doing something."
Hmm.
I'll give an example. In my neck of the woods, the Alabama Department of Transportation actually puts out these green signs on the side of the road saying, "Your tax dollars are at work," meaning your tax dollars are at work with resurfacing the roads or fixing the bridges. Like those things actually matter
Yes.
because for people who are not active in politics, they won't know where are my tax dollars going. So just even small things like that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
have a
You were.
sign up saying your tax dollars are at work.
Yeah. You read my mind. That's what I was thinking. A lot of. I feel like from this past, or like just talking to people, recently, I feel like people always want to know where their tax dollars is going. They say I pay a lot of taxes, but I'm not seeing any changes in my community. So where are my tax dollars going? What are you actually doing for me and my community to improve it? I will say, Christopher for Congress in the comments said that his district is brand new. The district he's running for is brand new. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I
Yeah, it
wonder,
is.
yeah. So did your state recently redistrict, and that's how you got a new district in your state? And then also, Jazz, when you talked about Melanie and what she talked about on her live, I think back to Louisiana, that one strip. I wish I remember which district it was, but it was one strip that went like from almost the bottom of
Yes.
Louisiana through the middle of it back up to the top. And I was
like
like,
like across the state. Yeah.
yes. And I felt that was a very interesting district. I'm like, how did they come up with that district specifically? What made them draw the map like that? Because in my mind, I would have never thought to just draw one district from the bottom to the top, because I feel like those are probably very different areas that probably need very different needs. So there are some funny maps out here for sure.
The funniest map I've seen was years ago when Dan Crenshaw first got elected in Texas. Of course, for people that don't know who Dan Crenshaw is, he's a Republican, and I vividly remember his district being drawn. It was drawn like a crooked, like if you don't know how to hold your pencil correctly to draw the letter C, that's how his district looks on a map. It looks like a wiggly C. So you can just tell that that district was deliberately drawn to concentrate, whatever
Certain
side
people.
of the aisle they wanted people to vote for them on. So I see stuff like that, and it's just interesting. I have never seen a map drawn in that way, where it looks like a crooked letter C.
Yeah. Um, well, do have a question for you. So I know that some states have commissions, some states are drawn by their legislators. Which way do you think is best for redistricting to be done in the state? To have like an independent commission, for it to be drawn by the legislators that's in that state, by like the state legislators? What do you think? Chat also, what do you think? Do you think independent commissions are better for redistricting and drawing maps, or do you think it being done by the state, or even I guess both, bipartisan, where the commission and the state have a hand in drawing the maps?
Well, you were asking me as well.
Yes.
Well, I'm a little torn on that because I can easily say a commission, but I also like the fact that it's beneficial to actually let the voters vote, and a lot of times the voters are in favor of making that decision. So, like for example, with Prop 50, that was beneficial because they actually let the people vote. Now, whereas me being in the state that I'm in Alabama, we don't have ballot initiatives. Well, we don't have ballot initiatives where it leads to signatures being on the for it to be on the ballot. A lot of times, our ballot initiatives come from the state legislator, where they will vote to put that on the ballot if they can't come to a conclusion. And a lot of times I don't like that. So I like it when you have states like Missouri. I used to live in Missouri at one point in time, and people would actually be out asking people, hey, we would like to get medicinal use and recreational use to be on the ballot next coming election. Can you sign this petition, because we need a certain amount of signatures in order to do it? I like things like that because it's actually making people aware they're not aware. Because I wasn't aware when I first moved there of what those things that they wanted on the ballot. So having that type of awareness to me helps, instead of having the state legislator make a decision to say, "Hey, put it on the ballot." So I'm a little torn between the the ballot initiative and commission.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Joni says yes, independent. Christopher said independent with safeguards against the commission being juiced up. I don't know what that means. Okay, so we got people that
Oh,
think
so
independent, and then maybe commission.
I will say some commissions are balanced, where they'll have Democratic people who lean on the Democratic side, and then they
Right.
have a Republican, and then they have an independent. So I've seen those just to show that it is balanced.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of something that has just been back and forth, and I think you've heard me talk about this before, with the back and forth about the state of Alabama's redistricting maps. People only know about the federal level redistricting maps, but there has also been lawsuits in my state when it came to state house and state representative maps needed to be redrawn as well. Not only that, on the state level, also on a county level. In my county of Jefferson County, a federal judge just ruled that they need to redraw the maps for the county when it comes to our county commissioners. Which for a lot of people who don't know what county commissioners are, think of it in the sense of like a city council who make up basically a body of people for the city council. Then you got the mayor. Well, we also have a body of people who are our representatives for the county. They also make decisions. So they found out the way the maps were drawn on a county level were not fair. And this was about a month or two ago too. So that was very interesting to me. Now, granted, it wasn't nationally reported, but of course, me being in the know of what's going on, I found that very interesting.
Yeah. Just for my talk for these past couple of minutes, I would say that being in the know of politics is a lot. We have 50 states. There's a lot going on in each state. Then you have stuff that's going on locally. Then you have stuff going on federally. So I think being on top of that is so good. platforms like this where you can hear information that's current, and then also hearing from candidates and what they think about what's going on in there, how they can contribute if they were elected to their position that they're running for. We definitely have to stay on top of our politics and what's happening, because every day there's some news about what's happening locally, state, or federal level.
And for me, mentioning on the state level of maps they had to be redrawn, and on a county level, people need to also know that that is just as important as the federal level maps being redrawn, because
Mm-hmm.
even just on a local level of what I just mentioned, that's not fair if your vote is getting washed out by another set of people who vote another way. To me, that's not fair. So just as much as we pay attention to the federal level, also pay attention to the state and county and local level as well. And
Absolutely.
also understanding, and also just look at the budgets, even on a city level, there is readily available on their websites for the most part. So look at they have a budget every year, and based off of that budget they determine whether or not how they're going to spend their money, whether it's paying for having allocated funding for their law enforcement, for their schools, if the city has a allocate a certain funding for their schools that they have in their district. Also, when it comes to the way contracts are being awarded, also look at that as well. Does those contracts represent what does it reflect the people of that city? Do they are they awarding contracts to people that are not from that city? I think that is important as well. So also pay attention to that.
All important things, all a lot. I think, well, for me at least, it's all new, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is only my third election. So all of my elections have been Trump versus, or Trump and Biden, and then, well, no, who? Trump and Hillary, and then Trump and Biden, and then this last one, which was Trump and Kamala Harris. So it's all new to me,
Mm-hmm.
elections and learning what's going on in your state and your local. For example, I now live in Massachusetts where I don't have a mayor, and I had to learn how they do their towns and their cities. Some do have mayors, some don't have mayors. Then we have a big commission group basically that's over certain counties in Massachusetts in town. So I thought that was interesting.
Now, tell me, how does those townships work in Massachusetts? I know that's different
Oh,
in the way like government is ran when you have like the townships in certain states. Because the
yes.
Massachusetts, do y'all say the state of Massachusetts or the Commonwealth? 'Cause I know some states say Commonwealth, like Kentucky and Pennsylvania. Do y'all
Yeah, it
say the
is a
Commonwealth?
commonwealth. Yes,
Oh,
it is
okay,
a
cool.
commonwealth. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm still not 100% sure how it all works. Because we do still have local, at least in my town, because I do live in like a small town. If you think of Massachusetts, you think of like Boston and those
Mm-hmm.
surrounding areas, which we know Boston has a mayor, and those are bigger cities have mayors, but like the smaller towns, we do still vote locally about things, like our board, like the school getting money, or and we do have town hall meetings about the town, but then there's a bigger commission that's over the county. So in Massachusetts, I think is more, because there's so many small towns, it's more
Mm-hmm.
county focused. So there's a commission that we have like Middlesex County or Worcester County, that they are over the whole county, and they have also monthly meetings, and you can go and then they make decisions as far as the whole county, which I think can be a
Okay.
little
Because the fact
difficult.
is that because it's so small, is that what it is? Where they can instead of
No.
oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, no, because I was gonna say, you would think Massachusetts is small, but it's a lot of towns in Massachusetts, like a
Oh,
lot.
okay. So
It's
it's
a
a lot of
lot.
towns broken up in. Okay, I see.
Yes, a lot of smaller towns. I'm trying to think of how I can explain it, but yeah, there's just a lot of small towns, and maybe that's why they do it by county. But to me, it's so
Mm-hmm.
many towns in one county that I don't know if I like it like that. Maybe if they would split even the county up, and then certain towns are together, and then they have one together, maybe I would like better. But I'm just trying to think like County. I'm gonna maybe look it up, but I know we have a lot of towns in our county. I'm in Middlesex County, so we have a lot of towns in our county. It's I want to
Mhm.
say 20 or something. It's quite a few. Yeah, Worcester County, Springfield. Yes, yes, yes. And then you have West Massachusetts, which is different than like the East, where Boston is, and then you have more where the Cape is. The islands, this Cape, it's called Cape and Islands County, where
Mhm.
there's a lot of like Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, all of what they call Cape Cod, that area. There's a lot of towns down there. So it's a big state. Even though it looks
Okay,
small on the map,
I see.
it's a
That's
lot
good. I
going
mean, I
on in
only
this
been to
state.
Boston, so.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks of when they think of Massachusetts, just Boston. That's what I
Mhm.
thought when I came here, and I was very surprised. Let's see. Hello, I see some more people coming in, coming in. Yes, I know Sianka lived in Massachusetts for a little bit, so she's agreeing with me in the
Thank
comments.
you. I've been to Boston a few times, of course. For those who don't know, I did play college basketball, so we had to play Boston College a lot. So, and a lot of times when we were up there, it was during the January and February time, so that was the coldest part of the year, of course. So,
Mm-hmm.
nothing but snow and ice, and seeing the lake frozen up there.
Yes,
So
yes,
it was interesting. Of course,
yes.
Boston College was in our conference, so that's why we played them multiple times.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I know that's what a lot of people think of when they come to Massachusetts, Boston. Then you have more of the towns around Boston that people visit, and then you have Springfield, which is more of a bigger city, and then maybe like the Cape, which has like
Yeah.
everybody knows Martha's Vineyard.
Now, have you been to Boston? I'm sorry, not Boston. Martha's Vineyard.
Yes, I have. I've been twice. I would love to go again. It's great. It does take a little while to get there because you have to take ferry to go,
Hmm.
but it is a really cute town, beaches, um, some good food.
Now, is
You
it
know, a lot
true
of
that
seafood.
when people now is it true when people go there during I think around like spring break and stuff like that? Is it a long line? Is it like the traffic is backed up for like a couple miles of people trying to get into Martha's Vineyard? Is that really true? Where you just sit there and stand still for a while?
Um, are you? Well, let me think. No, because usually to get to Martha's Vineyard, typically you'll park. I mean, you can take your car over there. So, like I said, you have to take a ferry. So either you can take your car on the ferry and take it with you to Martha's Vineyard, or you can go through the port. So you'll park in a parking lot, and then they'll shuttle you to the port. The last time I've been, it hasn't been bad where I'm waiting super long for a
Hmm.
ferry because the ferry does hold a lot of people, and there's usually two ferries that you can take to get to Martha's Vineyard. So for me, it hasn't been bad, but I will say there is a lot of people once you get onto the island. Yes, I will say that there is like there will be traffic because people have their cars, and then they do have a bus as well that takes you around that you can use to get around the island. Because it's actually quite big. It's not like just you can walk around. So there's different little towns on the island as well. So once you're on the island, absolutely there's lines for food, like restaurants, and they have obviously hotels. The beach is usually full, but yeah,
Okay,
it's definitely an
that's
adventure
interesting.
when you go.
Yeah, that would be something on my list to go and visit because I hear a lot of good things about it. And then, of course, the history of Martha's Vineyard. It was one of the few places that would rent out property um, to Black people. So that is interesting. That's something I
Absolutely.
didn't know until a few years ago. So that was an interesting history portion about that.
Yeah.
So also everybody in the chat, I want to know, have you all heard for those who are new that just came in, tell me your thoughts about the recent news as of today. We just heard today that the House just forced a vote to release the Epstein files, and also a federal court judge just blocked Texas for redrawing their maps in 2026.
Yeah. So we did
If
talk
you
a little
haven't
bit
heard
about
yet.
it.
Yes. So just tell us what your thoughts about that. That was something that I didn't expect a judge to go ahead and ring the gavel on today. But that tells me something that they saw that that wasn't maybe constitutional. I may have to read up on the articles underneath the grounds of why they decided that they wanted to go ahead and block it. But as of right now, that's what I saw, that a judge did block it. I just need to see the stipulations as to why.
Okay. Let's see if anybody has any thoughts about it, or thoughts just about districting and gerrymandering. And maybe what is your state like? Does anybody know what their state map is like, as far as districting,
So
gerrymandering?
I can talk about my state. So,
Okay.
the last election, we were able to we were forced to actually redraw a new district because, of course, as a lot of people probably don't know, our state was talked about a lot nationally because a federal judge kept determining that our state legislatures and our attorney general, to letting them know that, hey, the way you're redrawing this map is not a good representation of the people in this state, therefore redraw the map. Well, they never redraw the map. They told them go back and redraw it. Well, the judge got frustrated and said, if you don't redraw this map, I'm going to get a master to redraw it. A master is basically someone that they appoint to redraw the map. Typically, I think it's a judge that actually does that. That's considered to be a master. So that's what ended up being where our state denied and just refused those orders, and so another entity had to redraw our maps, which in turn created a new district, which is, I think, District 3. Don't quote me on the number, but I know it was a new district. And from that district, Representative Shamari Figures was elected last year in November, and he made history in our state as well. Because for the first time in a long time, we've had two representatives of color in our state at the same time. Also,
Oh,
two
wow.
representatives on the Democratic side, being in Alabama. Because for a long time, only one representative on the Democratic side represented the whole entire state in Congress. And that was Terry Sewell, which is District 7, where I am. So now we have two.
Okay. I want to say, Kevin, if you are in here, if you can just comment, because I don't think either of us see you in the request right now. So if you are
No, we
in,
don't.
okay. So if you are in here, just go ahead and comment so we know, and then we can try to get you up on the panel.
And also look out for the state of Mississippi is going through something similar to what Alabama went through with their redistricting maps. Also, Louisiana is too. So that fight is not over with redistricting. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Is Louisiana the state that's currently at the Supreme Court as far as their?
I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I have to look back up. I haven't in a few
Okay.
months, but I know they have been going back and forth with that and Mississippi.
Okay.
Another
So it
fun
might be
fact
North
about
Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. North Carolina is too. And another fun fact is, from what people saw, the winds that were going on 2 Tuesdays ago was the state of Mississippi's state legislator. They broke the supermajority.
Yep.
So they flipped 3 seats in that state, and I think that is something that could be a tide for people to kind of look into, to see if there may be a sea change that's going on as a representation for this entire country. You can look at it that way, or maybe people may not need to discount the South. Case in point, when it comes to a lot of funding from the top level of us, from places like the DNC or maybe the RNC, depending on the district, sometimes those top level RNCs and DNCs will not put a lot of funding in those areas if they feel like they can't win.
Yes.
But seeing places like Mississippi flip 3 seats on the state level, I think that will get a lot of attention from the main committee to let them know maybe they need to do a lot of reinvestment in that area.
Absolutely. I did.
Also,
Oh,
oh yeah,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, I was
No,
saying
I
that
was
I
also going.
did. I
Oh,
saw a video of a girl, a woman from Mississippi that talked about that, and how in the rural areas there are a lot of voters that they just do not talk to. And if they put more money in the rural areas, that they would possibly be able to flip more seats in Mississippi, because there are a lot of rural people that live in those areas and a lot of farmers that live in those
absolutely.
areas. So it definitely could be flipped. And then I wanted to say also, I know a lot of people haven't talked about it, but in Connecticut, they even flipped seats. I think it was about
Hmm,
20 seats they flipped from red to blue. Yes. And we
really?
already know that's a blue state, but they're
Yeah.
locally, they flipped a lot of seats. So I don't know. There's been a lot of seat flipping within that election. So we can see which way the country's kind of wanting to head, at least from
Yeah,
that,
and a
you know.
lot of school board races all around the country flipped a lot of seats too. I think that wasn't talked about enough on Tuesday, which gives me a lot of hope that a lot of people are paying attention to their local politics. It's not them just showing up whenever there's a major election every 4 years. They're understanding things are affecting them more closely on a local level, so therefore they need to be involved. I look at the situation with Georgia with their public commissioner race that happened on
Yeah.
2 Tuesdays ago as well, where they came out and did a lot of door knocking in the state. Because of course the Georgia Public Commission is a statewide race. It makes up, I think, don't quote me, I think it's about 5 or 6 people that sits on that board, and they basically their function is
Yeah.
to determine whether or not how the residents of Georgia's electric bills are. Well, for the past, I guess you can say, election cycles, people have been noticing their electric bills have been going up and up and up, and people are tired of it, of course. And there are a lot of volunteers that went out and door knocked and got people aware of these important seats that need to come up, the people running for these seats for the interest of Georgians. And of course, the results were in their favor, where they flipped 2 seats in that on that Georgia Public Commission board. So that was very
Yes.
important. And as a matter of fact, and I'll probably share this with you all on the back end, but there's a map that kind of represents, like, you know how it'll either represent like red or blue, or how red some place is or how blue it is. But if you saw the
Hmm.
map of the Georgia Public Commission race, it was blue all around the whole entire
Oh,
state,
wow.
even in places that are typically red. That blew my mind, just even for
Yes.
that race alone. So I was like, wow.
Yeah, and I think I feel like I remember reading this is the first time it's been flipped in what, 20 years,
Yeah.
something crazy like that. And so I was like, wow, that's a big. I think that's a big win for Georgia, and
Yeah.
again, the direction of
There
the country.
I saw a story recently that made news where a 21-year-old he challenged his teacher in a
Yes, I
statewide
saw
race.
that
Was it in North Carolina?
in
Was it Virginia? Oh,
Virginia,
Virginia.
Virginia,
Yeah.
Surrey, Virginia, I believe.
So was it a commission? It was a commission board seat or something like that.
Ooh,
He beat his own teacher.
yes, I can't
Hmm.
remember the seat, but he did be his teacher in the seat, and they did do an interview with him and the teacher, and the teacher even said that he was rooting for him to win.
Hmm. Yeah,
um, he,
absolutely.
he remembers him
Yeah,
from his class.
I think that's what made the story even more inspirational, because when his teacher lost against him, well, let's back up. When his student told him he was running against him, his response wasn't, begrudging or upset. He just was like, he was okay, good luck. And
Right.
then when his teacher lost against his own student, he said, "Congratulations and I love you." And I think that was beautiful to see.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do too. And I think it speaks to younger people getting into politics. Because as we know, we had Jaden on OVC, and he ran for mayor of Stockbridge in Georgia, and he won. And he was 21, 22 years old. And we also had another person running, and they're 22 years old, running for their state Senate. So young people are really getting involved in politics and running in local and federal elections, and I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely. Even on seats that you typically don't know about or heard about,
Hmm.
that young people are saying, "I'm jumping in the fold to get involved."
Absolutely.
Just even the candidate that we had recently, Jaden Williams, down in Stockbridge, Georgia, winning his seat. He just graduated college and now he's a mayor of an entire city. That
Right.
is amazing. And the fact that we interviewed him right before his election let us know that this is something that is purposeful and meaningful that we're doing. And
Yes.
I'm glad that we're doing this because, of course, I already foresee how it's going to be starting in January. The midterms are definitely going to heat up, so a lot more press is going to be pushed a lot more media, a lot of more exposure. So I'm ready for it. I already know our calendars are going to be full, so we need to buckle up.
Yes. Yes. So if you know any candidates
Yeah.
out there, if anybody in the chat know any candidates that are running that you would like to see on OVC, make sure you're following the I Will Count page, message them, send them the candidates page. Maybe you'll see them on the next town hall.
Yes.
I wanted to see if anybody else had any news that's going on in politics today. Anybody in the chat have any other news that's going on? We talked about Texas. We talked about the files and the vote that happened in the House. Um, does anybody have anything else that's happening today in politics or recently in politics? Jazz, do you have
The other thing,
anything?
the only thing I want to comment on, I know that the senators on the Democratic side decided to break ranks and vote to reopen the government in hopes that they can circle back to the topic of having discussions on the healthcare premiums.
Yep.
I hope, I just hope that they stick to their word of having the discussion next month, because those who work in the marketplace to reach out to customers and insurers and insurance providers, to let them know how accurate their premiums are going to be starting in January 2026. Because as of right now, a lot of people who are looking at their premiums for the renewal are seeing the increases based off of the expiration of the premium, in hopes that it's not going to get renewed. So I hope that next month that is something that they're going to stick on their word to have a discussion about before January 1st of 2026.
That's my hope too. I hope that this isn't something that continues to get, what do they say, kicked down the road or kick the can down the road. That's what I'm hoping, because I feel like that's part of the reason we're in the situation. Well, we got into the situation we did as far as the government shut down, because this ACA and the subsidies have just continued to be kicked down the road. As we know, on the Republican side, they said they're going to come up with a new healthcare plan to replace the ACA. We're still waiting on that, and then you have Democrats for the ACA, and they're talking about trying to, add subsidies or make changes to it that is also not being agreed on the other side. So just some bipartisanship on making sure we get healthcare for all Americans, because that's the most important part. Because no American should be without health care. So
Yes,
I,
that is a good segue to ask the chat. For those who do participate in the marketplace, and also understand it's not just the people that are in the marketplace. There are people also seeing their medical premiums go up, who are on Medicare, who are also on their private insurance through their employer. Have you all seen your renewal premiums for January 2026?
yeah,
Hello,
because we know
Rodney.
this issue doesn't just affect people that are on the ACA. This will affect
Yes,
anybody with health insurance. As we know, health insurance is already continuing to rise, and then the more people that are uninsured, the more it will rise. So this isn't just an ACA person thing. This is a every citizen situation. So everybody should be kind of looking out on what's going to happen as far as the
I
ACA.
agree. Absolutely. And for those who don't know, like the ACA is very vital for a lot of people in this country, especially for those who have pre-existing conditions. Prior to the ACA, it was very hard for anybody to sign up for insurance. Any insurance didn't want to take anybody under their policy, because they just felt like they were a liability and they'll be spending a lot more just to service the customer. So they felt like it's better to keep their profits in their pocket instead of having someone underneath their umbrella to have insurance in order for them to see a doctor. So knowing that they changed the stipulations with ACA, now you can have a pre-existing condition. It saved a lot of people's lives. I've heard here recently around on this app where people said that if it wasn't for the ACA, some of their family members or even them, they wouldn't even be alive. So I think
Absolutely.
that should be highlighted as well.
Yeah, and I think too, being able to keep your dependent on your insurance until the age of 26, I think that's a
20, yeah,
huge
26.
thing, especially for
Yeah,
students that go into college. They can stay on their parents' insurance, or even if they're staying home just before, they can get into the workforce and be able to get their own insurance. To be able to stay on your parents' insurance is a big thing. Especially we
Absolutely.
know people trying to get jobs. We know it's a little bit more difficult nowadays to get a job, and the job market isn't as people probably would hope it would be, or as easy, especially even just graduating college. People are still struggling with degrees to find jobs. So that's a big thing for
I
dependents to
agree.
be able to stay on there and parents insurance.
And also too, maybe this could be a good segue, even aside from just the healthcare portion of it, which you just mentioned about those who do have degrees still having hard time finding jobs in their field. I think
Absolutely.
that has to have a lot more in-depth conversation about that too, because before I graduated college, there was a survey that was put out, an actual article, I should say, that said that there are thousands of graduates that are graduating all over the country, but they're not able to fill the demand of what certain jobs that are needed. And I think the gap with that is not actually meeting the demands of what is needed in this country when it comes to certain skilled laborers as well, when it comes to like plumbing, electrician work, even just STEM work. Now we're more in the demand of STEM. I think some of the education needs to be tailored to that. That's not taken away from people who are engineers. Engineers are always going to have a demand. There's always going to be a demand for healthcare as well. But for other things that are demand that can't be filled, I think the direction and the allocation should be redirected on school level as well for kids to get equipped for. Because I can tell you so many people that I have went to school with, whether they've had like advanced degrees like PhDs and majors in their field, and they can't find a particular job in their field. So
Yes.
I think, yeah.
I agree. I do want to ask. I know we've been asking the chat as we switch
Mhm.
topics. So since we're going into education, I want to ask the chat, what do they think about the Department of Education and the education in America right now, and then also student loans? We know that's a big thing when it comes to college. It kind of it might deter some from going to college, and then those who do go to college graduate with debt. And if they are graduating and can't find a job, and now they just have student loan debt, and it's not always necessarily that the degree that they have isn't a degree that can be used. It's just in this job market, it can be hard to find a job. I'll give an example. I did graduate with a degree in forensic biology in 2018. Even for me, it's hard to even just find forensic jobs, especially if you're not willing to relocate. That's part of the reason I am in Massachusetts right now, is because I had to be willing to relocate to get a job in my field. Like you said, STEM is a big thing, but being able to get a job in a STEM field, especially, is starting to get a little bit more competitive because people know these are the kind of jobs that people are looking out for: STEM, scientists, IT work, computer science. Those are big fields that people are going into. So it can starting to get a little bit more competitive with finding jobs. So, what are you guys' thoughts on, again, the Department of Education? What's happening with the Department of Education right now? Student loans, student loan debt. Let's see. Someone put, Uncle Daddy said we have to push for more vocational high schools. Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that. I know there has been a big push for more trade schools and vocations in high school, and even past high school, that people a trash can, that people are looking into and kind of pushing maybe their child to look into more than just traditional college, which is nothing wrong with that, because at this point everybody has a place in society, that we need every person in society to make society work. You know, every job is important, because without one, something would fall. I remember one of the candidates
I,
saying we're like an ecosystem, and even
yeah.
without the smallest part of the ecosystem, something will go awry. So yeah, Sianka put a
I
trash can, so I assume that means she doesn't agree with the Department of Education. Oh yeah, let's
I
use
think
emojis. Maybe we can spice it up.
yeah, emojis are fun, but I think this is just my theory. I think that once one state actually will pass some state legislation saying that their 2 year schools are tuition free, and we're also changing the
Massachusetts has
curriculum to
that.
meet the yeah, and also change if they not only say tuition free 2 year schools, but also changing the curriculum to meet the demands of some of the gaps of the jobs they cannot fill. that would be very attractive for a lot of students out of state to come in their state, which in turn will make those students stay in California after graduation. And if that happens, then there will be a trickle effect in other states to sign similar legislation. I'll give an example. Of course, as people know, I have a athletic background, being a student athlete, and so when California passed the law to make it where students can make money off their name, image, and likeness, aka the NIL deals, a lot of states had no choice but to follow suit, because if they only had California as the lone state to have that, then other states will lose their players to California. So, and of course, the revenue will follow with California as well. So it made a trickle effect. Other states had to match the same type of law in order to allow students to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. And I think
Yes.
in turn that would be the same way if and I have to use California example because it seems like they have been the flagship in making things move in this country in certain aspects, whether you agree with it or not. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. You said you did speak on the making 2-year colleges free. I know in Massachusetts they do have community college that you can go to for free, and then I also know that the Ivy League schools have been doing. If you make under a certain, your family makes under a certain amount, they're giving a lot more money as far as scholarships and full rides to people that want to
Yeah.
go to their school, undergrad that may have come from a lower income family, which I think is a great thing because that gives students that maybe thought they didn't have that option of college to go to college and pursue whatever they want to pursue, and maybe their dream may be to be what a doctor, engineer, whatever. Now they have that opportunity, so I think that's a great thing. And I also think we do still have to focus on the elementary, middle school, high school, and how that works. I did read a news article today that talked about algebra. If students that take algebra in the eighth grade are more likely to succeed in math classes, and it talked about how Black and Latino students are less likely to have algebra in the eighth grade, which I thought was interesting compared to their other counterparts. So I just really focusing also on that education at the elementary, middle school, and high school level to ensure success in college is a big thing, or trade school, vocational school, because those schools are not just easy schools as well. I think some people might take for granted what people learn in trade and vocational school, but I know they do math and reading and measurements and all kinds of things that maybe people don't necessarily think about when they think about trade schools and vocational schools.
Absolutely. Because in certain places around the country, they said it's hard for them to find an electrician because they're not any locally. And of course, to your point, a lot of the ending of a lot of vocational schools are not there anymore. Even for my high school, we had a separate building that was strictly for vocational, whether if it was welding, being a cosmetologist or a barber, or going into culinary school, or being a mechanic. Actually, there's a community college like literally right next door to my high school. So for the students that was in my high school who was interested in being a mechanic, they can get college credit and high school credit by learning to be a mechanic, going to the 2-year school to learn that particular class of being a mechanic. So I think those incentives as well should be offered. That way, it'll be an easier transition for people who would like to do something solely for that without feeling like they have to be pressured to go to a 4-year school where there's not a specific concentration. Because let's just be honest, in certain majors, it's so broad that you do have to find a concentration. So I
Yes.
think that would help tailor people a little bit better to find a concentration in what they do.
Yes, absolutely. And I think just educating high school students, even starting at ninth grade, about the job opportunities that's out there and how you can get to that job. I think that's a big part of it. People not knowing the opportunities that's out there and how you can obtain these different jobs. Because I think every day I learn a new job. I'm like, oh wow, I never knew that people do that. Like, how do you even become, whatever that job is? So that is also a big thing, just educating the kids on the jobs and how they can get there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And just to wrap it up, you guys, thank you all for still sticking with us tonight. Unfortunately, Kevin Ryan will have to reschedule with us. So thank you all for sticking around with us, just to hear us have these conversations about what was in the news today and just the other topics that we covered. We will be back tonight in less than an hour. I guess you can say what, 45 minutes. We will have the next candidate up at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. We were scheduled for a double header, but it looks like we'll just only have just one tonight, and that will be with Aaron Petre. Aaron Petre is running for Kentucky's 6th congressional district. So stick around for that. We will restart the live 5 minutes before 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just so that you all can get in here and get comfortable before the conversation starts. So once again, thank you all for being here, and you will see you in the next 45 minutes. So you all have a good night.
Good night.